The aim of global climate negotiations is to try and reduce the increase in temperature to around 2 degrees above pre-industrial. But there's been relatively little research on what benefits that policy has and how many of the impacts that we would experience otherwise are avoided. Our research provides the first comprehensive assessment of those impacts and how many impacts are avoided across a range of sectors across the global scale. The impacts that are avoided by a policy which achieves 2 degrees vary from sector to sector. So, for example, by 2050, the 2-degree policy target would reduce exposure to flood risk quite dramatically by about 30%, but it may only have a 10% effect on the impacts of climate change on wheat productivity, for example. But it would have a bigger effect, maybe 30%, on the increase in demands for cooling energy. The research results can also be interpreted the other way around. We've concentrated very much on how much a policy, for example, a 2-degree target policy, avoids impacts. You can also look at it and say, well, what impacts would we get in addition if we don't hit the 2-degree target? So turning the results around the other way. So, for example, we could easily double impacts or increase impacts by 40 to 60% if we don't hit a 2-degree target. Even if we manage to implement a policy which limits the rise in temperature to 2 degrees on average, we still see the impacts of climate change. That doesn't reverse the consequences of increasing greenhouse gas emissions. But what it does do is slow the rate of increase and have quite dramatic impacts by the end of the century.